to live. But in Buddhism, living for the sake of living is not really the purpose. Because if I ask you, for example, why are you walking? Everybody tells me, oh, I'm walking because I'm going to the store, or I'm walking for a breath of fresh air. I'm walking in order to lose weight, or you always have a purpose. No one would say I'm just walking for the sake of walking, unless they mean I'm walking to, clear my head. So clearing my head, that's a purpose. Everything we do in life has a purpose. Yeah. So today you drove here probably, so you had this destination here in your mind, and this destination also helped you how to get here. Without a destination, we would be at a loss as to what path to take in life. So, yeah, we are very blessed to learn the teachings of Buddha, who declares there is a meaning to life, in spite of all the struggles we go through and all the hardships. There is a purpose to life. And so there is a path that helps us get there as well. And this path is the path of coming to know ourselves, knowing oneself. And so Buddha actually taught a lot of stories that helps us know who we are. And one reason why we cannot experience happiness is that we are kind of in the dark in regards to who we are. And in that book, You Were Born for a Reason, there are many, many examples about how we have to know who we are, but actually we know so little about ourselves. And Buddha gave a lot of parables to help us understand easier who we are. And this parable is very well known, so well known that a Russian writer, Leo Tolstoy, he actually got a hold of this parable. And he was so amazed by this story. He said that this is just irrefutable, true story that reflects the exact image of all human beings, no matter what race they are or what era they were born in, and whether they're rich or poor, young or old. It's the image of all humanity. So listening to Buddhism, like we're all doing today, helps us know this image of ourselves, and it brings us closer and closer to the fulfillment of purpose of life, which is basically obtaining happiness. And by happiness, we don't mean the happiness that's here today and is gone tomorrow. In Buddhism, happiness means lasting happiness, true happiness. Happiness that once we experience it, it will never change, fade away, or collapse. And Buddha declares there is such a happiness, and to obtain that is the purpose of life. So first, let us watch this video about the true nature of human existence. And we've been explaining about all the symbols of this parable. Today's topic is on the symbol of a black dragon you're going to see in the parable. So after the parable, I'll get to the black dragon.
Parable of the true nature of human existence. One day, the king of Kosala, King Prasenajit, went to listen to Shakyamuni Buddha's sermon. This is what human beings are like. Shakyamuni Buddha taught King Prasenajit, who was listening to Buddhism for the first time, about this through a parable. Millions of years ago, a traveler plodded alone across a vast, grassy plain. It was a dreary autumn evening, and a chill wind blew. As he hurried along the path, all at once he noticed white objects scattered around and came to a stop, wondering what they could be. He picked one up and was startled to discover that it was a human bone. What were so many bones doing in such a place? Lost in thought over this, He moved not a step further. Soon from the darkness ahead, he heard something moving and a strange growling sound. He peered into the gloom and made out the distant figure of a fierce tiger, maddened by starvation, racing straight at him. Instantly, the meaning of the bones became clear. Other travelers, passing this way like him, must have been eaten by the tiger. Instinctively, he sensed that he was in the same situation. Terrified, he ran back the way he had come, desperate to escape the tiger's jaws. But no human can outrun a tiger. Before long, he felt the tiger's terrible hot breath at his back. It seemed that he had taken a wrong turn, for the path ended suddenly in a sharp cliff. He was trapped. A single pine tree stood on the cliff. The traveler thought that even if he climbed the tree, he wouldn't be able to escape from the tiger. All he could do was despair. Fortunately, right after that, he spotted a vine hanging from the bottom of the tree at the edge of the cliff. Needless to say, he grabbed hold of the vine and lowered himself as far as he could. The traveler had narrowly escaped with his life, as when he looked up, he saw the tiger on the cliff. Frustrated at seeing its prey get away, the tiger began to groan in disappointment. "Good grief," he murmured. "It's a lucky thing this vine was here, or that would have been the end of me. Now I can breathe easy." Then he glanced down, and he couldn't keep from gasping in shock. Lapping the base of the cliff were the angry billows of a bottomless sea. Nor was that all. In the waves were 3 dragons, one blue, one red, and one black, waiting with their bright red mouths wide open for him to fall. In horror, he clung tighter to the vine and shuddered. However, human emotions are fleeting. After a while, the traveler began to feel hungry and looked around for something to eat. That's when he made his most horrifying discovery of all. 2 mice, one white and one black, were circling the root of the vine, gnawing at it in turns. The traveler's face turned pale, his teeth chattered, and he shook uncontrollably. He shook the vine vigorously to scare the mice away, but to no avail. They just kept on chewing at the same pace. Soon, the traveler noticed something dripping down from above. Honeybees had made a hive at the base of the vine, and now 5 drops of sweet honey fell into his mouth. The traveler's heart was captivated by the luscious honey the moment it graced his tongue, and he forgot the terror of his plight. When Shakyamuni Buddha's sermon reached this point, King Prasenajit stood up and shouted, "World Honored One, please stop! Don't continue that story anymore, please!" How could this traveler be so foolish? How could he ever forget how terrible it is for him to be in such danger with only the distraction of 5 honey drops? When I think about what will happen to him from now, I am too frightened to hear any more of this story. Great King, Shakyamuni Buddha replied, "do you think this traveler a fool? This traveler, in fact, refers to you. What? How could this traveler refer to me? This foolish traveler represents not only you, but the whole human race. At these words of Shakyamuni Buddha, the entire audience stood up in shock. This is the parable in which Shakyamuni Buddha illustrated the true image of us human beings. The traveler, the autumn evening, the white bones, the tiger, the pine tree, the vine, the white mouse and the black mouse, the bottomless sea, the 3 dragons, and the 5 drops of honey. Each of these symbols represents our image. Let us thoroughly learn the purpose of listening to Buddhism through this parable that Shakyamuni Buddha taught.
Okay, great. So this was the parable. And we've been talking about all the elements, like the traveler represents all human beings, and the vast wilderness represents the history of our true self, and the autumn season was autumn, not spring or summer. That shows how lonely life is. And yeah, the white bone and tiger representing the impermanence of life. And so we finished the blue dragon that shows the greed, human greed, and the red dragon that shows our anger. And today is about the black dragon. Yes. Yeah, so the black dragon, black actually, it's representation of the secret part of ourselves that we might not be necessarily aware of. So that's why the color black is like it's mysterious, or it's unknown. And this is just a picture I have here. Jealousy. Yeah, I'm gonna come back to this later. Okay, so the black dragon from this parable of the true nature of human existence. So the color black, yeah, so it symbolizes feelings that are unknown to us, like a dark, secret room in our hearts. And so last time we talked about anger, which was symbolized by the red dragon. When anger is directed toward a weak opponent, it takes the form of reckless lashing out. But when it's directed towards someone stronger than us, then it settles into deep animosity. And when anger cannot be expressed directly, it often takes the form of envy and ill will. So some other examples of the black dragon are envy, jealousy, grudge, and resentment. And we're going to get into these in more detail. And we can turn on the air conditioning.
It's okay.
It's okay. So actually in Japanese, this black dragon has the name of Gucci. And Gucci in Chinese characters, that's how they write it. So Chinese character, this one is Gu, and this one is Shi. Which basically in English, it means ignorance or grumbling. Yeah, And if we go over the meaning of the characters, so this first one here, gu, it means foolishness. Right? We have many Japanese. So foolishness. And the character chi, so it has two elements. One is this part here, which kind of means hospitalized or in hospital. And what is inside the hospital, this part here, is wisdom. So in other words, if our wisdom is in the hospital, it's not doing too well, that's a sign of foolishness. When we lack wisdom, that's one definition of foolishness. Or in English, it's just plain grumble. So grumbling comes from envying others' good fortune and enjoying their misfortune, Buddhism teaches. It stems from the foolish mind that is actually ignorant of the law of cause and effect. So the law of cause and effect is a very important principle in Buddhism, because everything in Buddhism, all the teachings of Shakyamuni Buddha are founded on this law of cause and effect. And yeah, so today, maybe I don't have the time to go over it in depth, but usually if we hear it maybe at least 10 sessions, we get a good grasp of the law of cause and effect that permeates the three worlds, not just this world. But it is a law. So, you know, we have law like traffic laws, we have state laws and federal laws. And these laws, even though they're made by humans, they don't fluctuate so much. You know, like the traffic laws, if they want to change them all the time, you see a red light, you have to think, oh, should I go or should I stop? It's confusing, you know. So we don't change the laws so much. But because they're made by humans, they're subject to error. So, you know, like, for example, slavery, there was a law. I mean, it's beyond my imagination, but they had such a law in the past. And as we realize it's foolishness, so we got rid of it. We changed the law. So humanity, the society, always trying to improve. That's very good. But law in Buddhism, it doesn't change at all, because it's not made by humans. Law in Buddhism is actually the truth that permeates all times and all places. So all times, even when Buddha was living 2,600 years ago, today, and even 10,000 years into the future, something that never changes in Buddhism is known as a law. Also, it doesn't change from place to place. It is operating in India, where Buddha used to live, in America, in Japan, in China. Even if we travel to outer space, like the moon or Mars, this law operates. It never fails to work. And all the teachings of Buddha are based on this law of cause and effect. And cause and effect means that every effect, every phenomenon in this world has a cause. Nothing happens without a cause. No matter how insignificant it might be, like if a strand of hair falls, no one cares, but that's a small effect. It has a cause. And a big effect might be an airplane crash. So sometimes we never find out what happens to an airplane that crashes into the ocean, like the Malaysian airline still missing. But just because the cause, we still don't know what it is, because it's in the depths of the ocean, not knowing what it is different from saying that the cause is non-existent. They're very, very different. There is a cause. The cause exists. We just don't know what it is yet. Maybe as time passes, the investigators might be able to find the cause. And so all human endeavors like science, medicine, politics, they're based on the law of cause and effect. And that's how we've been enjoying the tremendous, progress in our societies. And in a nutshell, the law of cause and effect can be summarized in these two lines. Seeds not planted will never grow. Seeds planted will never fail to grow. And seeds refer to the actions that we do every day with our mind, mouth, and the body. So Buddha teaches that good actions always bring good results. Bad actions always bring bad results. And our results always grow out of our own actions. And there are not even a single exceptions to this, according to the Buddha. However, it's not easy to grasp that. And we have a mind that doesn't and cannot understand this law of cause and effect. All of us, we have that mind. That mind is known as foolishness, lack of wisdom, which is symbolized by the black dragon. And yeah, so now let's read one story from the book, Something You Forgot Along the Way. You have this book in front of you. Yes, Something You Forgot Along the Way. It's on page 40 to help us understand how this law of cause and effect is operating unerringly without any mistakes. So maybe we can start, have a Cindy read a few sentences and then just say next.
One October, a man went on a trip to the east. Cold breeze blew through the fields of ripened grain that stretched in waves of gold as far as the eye could see. Nearby, a farmer was leisurely at work, smoking a pipe, his face creased in a smile. Later, the man returned to the same country and found the waves of gold harvested into neat sheaves, lying piled by each house. From within came the sounds of contented conversation and laughter. The man said to himself, "This is a paradise. Imagine that people here reap a great harvest with no trouble. He could only envy such good fortune," and went and told his neighbor all about it. Next.
If you want.
Okay. His neighbor decided to take a look for himself. He set off at the beginning of May and arrived to find anyone covered in mud and sweat, hard at work. Thinking this was strange, he finished his business and went home. By the weekend by the following month, he found people sweating buckets in the hot sun, hard at work as before, with no golden waves in sight and no shells either. He hugged my neighbor, poured a first one on me. This is no paradise, it's a perfect hell. Hidden in every success story are tears. A seed that is not planted cannot grow. People ignore the deep fundamental law of cause and effect, greatly to be pitied.
Okay, thanks. Yes, do you have any thoughts on this story? Yeah, so this is a very nice story telling us how we judge people's success just by the superficial appearances. So we have no clues as to the hard work they have been through to harvest such a great result. We don't see all the hard work, the nights they had to stay up late and they had to wake up so early in the morning. We don't see the hard work people put into their things, and then we only see the final results. Or they are wealthy, or they are beautiful, they are talented, and we just finished the Olympics. They're fast and they just dance so gracefully. That's all we can see, and then we envy their success. So envying their success, that means we don't understand the law of cause and effect. We just jump to the effect, which is the superficial, what comes to our eyes, and then we just naturally feel the envy or jealousy feelings. But if we understand the law of cause and effect thoroughly, then we know that, things don't just pop up. If things don't just happen by chance. I heard even for Olympians, even if they rest one day, not doing any training, it's not like they slow down worth of one day. They slow down maybe worth of 1 month. It's as if 1 month they have been resting. That's how crucial it is to keep it up day after day after day. That's the difference it makes in their speed, and they all win by like not even 1 or 2 seconds difference. It's like 1/100th of a second. So, when we pay attention to these cause and effect relationships, then we can see how foolish it is to only envy other people's success or talents, or how they're having it the easier way, we think. I have many friends that are always complaining to me, grumbling about how some people at work, they have it easier. Like I have some nurse friends, and nurses have been in the hospital like for, let's say, 20 years, and they happen to be from a certain ethnicity. So they are very, they have close ties with each other. And then there is this new nurse coming in, and she might not be, from that ethnicity. And, so they give all the difficult patients to her, all the patients who are always complaining or they need a lot of care. And then those senior nurses, they have it easier, so they can sit back and they don't have to run around from, room to room and check on each patient. So it looks like it's very unfair, and it makes us feel envious, or we just feel that's not fair. But if we hang in there and spend 20 years, our time will come when those, nurses will retire, and then we become the senior ones. And you have to accept the fact that you'll be the old ones, but it comes with the seniority. We don't want to get old, but we want to have the seniority. So we have a mind that is kind of inconsistent. It goes against this cause and effect. Okay, so now let us get into groups and have some discussion about what we've heard so far. Yes, so Patty, me, and the 2 in the back, and then you have 4 people here. We will have 1 group. So this, you can discuss about anything that you've heard, cause and effect.
Okay, this is the end of part 1. Please join the part 2.